Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your humble host, Save Our Children TV. My name is Charles, and I'm back at it for a brand new video. Now, today, I have 17, I'm gonna repeat it again, 17 stories for you guys. Plus, I'm gonna give you a bonus story right now. And this story just dropped 2 days ago. And an 11-year-old boy out of Dallas was shot and killed by a straight bullet. And you know, it's just been so much going on in the news media. So let's get to our videos. Let's get to our story in our video. Now, let me look up this particular story. Wow. 14-year-old girl is charged with the murder of an 11-year-old boy after an argument. I would have never expected that. 14-year-old girl is charged with murder and the shooting of 11-year-old boy in Dallas. And this happened on the 17th of this month. There's a lot going on in 2023. Like the new year just came in. My lord. I'm on CNN. A 14-year-old girl was charged with murder Monday following the fatal shooting of an 11-year-old boy who was hit by a stray bullet, according to Dallas police. Police were called to a report of a shooting at an apartment complex in South Dallas on Sunday afternoon about 2 p.m. As part of the investigation, police determined that a fight was going on between two girls in the parking lot of the complex. One juvenile suspect retrieved a handgun and shot in the direction of the female. She was fighting. However, the shot struck a male juvenile bystander, police said in a statement. The 11-year-old boy was transported to the hospital where he died from his injuries, police said. The suspect initially ran from the location but was later taken into custody and charged, and she remains at the Henry Wade Juvenile Justice Center, police said. A weapon was recovered during the investigation, the agency added. Police are not releasing the names of those involved in the incident due to their ages. Vashanti Settles identified the boy as her son, Evan McFall, and said he died in front of her, according to CNN affiliate KTVT. Me having to witness it and be there, I'm never going to get over it, she told the affiliate. Settles said her daughter was fighting with a 14-year-old girl who then pulled out a gun and shot the fatal bullet, missing her but hitting the Evan. He was so innocent. He definitely didn't deserve it, Settle said. I just wish the younger generation would stop and think before they do irrational things, because in this situation, I'm not the only one hurting. Settle said she would miss Evans' big smile and his love of sports. Take this story and do something productive with it. Let my son not have died in vain, and let this save somebody else's child, she said. The Evans is a fifth grader with DeSoto Independent School District, according to statement from the district. He was described as a sweet and charismatic by his teachers and will be greatly missed by both his teachers and peers, the statement said. Losing a student is one of the most difficult experiences one can have. An educator is akin to losing a child, as there are as these are our children. DeSoto, as the superintendent of schools, Usama Badger said, my heart and condolences go out to the McFarland family. DeSoto, as they will continue to wrap its arms around the family of the Evans McFarland, as well as the school family and our entire district. Here's the news article. Hold on, let me just get this ad off the screen, then the news video should be playing.
You can't get him back. I will never see my son again. It's been an emotional day for the family of Evan McFall, gathering outside the Signature at Southern Oaks Apartments on Monday, one day after the 11-year-old boy was shot and killed. Please, people, stop killing each other. I never thought I would be standing here doing this for one of my babies. Witnesses say the boy was an innocent bystander. He was in the area when police say a couple of teenage girls got into a heated fight. He was just standing there. As the fight escalated, neighbors say one of the girls ran to get a gun and fired. Police say that 14-year-old girl shot DeEvan and ran from the scene. It's heartbreaking to see a child land on the ground with in a pool of blood, just lifeless, just laying there. This tragedy has community members raising many questions, mainly about youth access to guns. Police haven't yet confirmed where the weapon came from, but say they recovered the gun and arrested the child who they believe killed DeEvan. I mean, to lose his life, he was just watching he began to live. Some neighbors in his apartment complex say fights among the youth happen often, and they want responsible adults to get involved. I mean, I know the police got their jobs, they can't be everywhere. But these parents need to do something about their children. They're unruly and they're not disciplined. And it goes on all the time. Concerned neighbors and the Evan McFall's family say they don't want another tragedy like this to happen. In Dallas, I'm Devon Fernandez.
My closing thought is this: it starts at home. Okay, it starts at home. Number one, and number two, where did this 14-year-old girl get a gun from? That would be a good question for people to answer. Okay, and the thing is that, and I agree, parents need to be more strict and more guidance to the children. Start punishing your children. Quit letting your children run all over you, and that's the problem. A lot of parents are too friendly with their children. Can't do that. You gotta still put your feet down and discipline your children. Because at the end of the day, your child's gonna be in the streets committing murder, and you're gonna be the one standing in the courtroom crying, telling them don't send my daughter to prison or don't send my son to prison for a long time. But the problem is, if you was a parent, your child would be sitting behind bars. So at the end of the day, I wonder what this mother is thinking now that her 14-year-old child is sitting in jail on a murder charge, or sitting in juvenile on a murder charge. See, if you was a parent to that child, she wouldn't be sent behind bars today. If you was more supervisable parent, why is this 14-year-old walking around with a gun anyways? And then how did she even get a hold to the gun? And nowadays you have children bring guns to bring guns to fights. And I say this: when that gun go off, that's the rest of your life. Believe it or not, you should, even if somebody's injured by that bullet, you can spend the rest of your life in prison for attempted murder. So don't just think that because you bring a gun to a fight that it won't go off. If you use that gun to commit a felony, you are you just as guilty. Condolences to this 11-year-old little boy. Condolences to his family. And something needs to be going on in Dallas. I know Dallas is just it's Texas. Period. The leaders needs to come out and do something with the youth, like something like what, like. And I said in my previous videos too, like a program or something for these children to do, something to get the children off the streets when they get out of school and stop hanging with no good people to commit felonies. Get them off the street, get them into programs where they can better educate these young children because they're killing each other over a senseless argument. It was senseless. And an 11-year-old boy got caught up, innocent bystander, and shot and killed. Over what? A petty argument? and who's been involved in the argument. Gotta do better, people. We are burying our children way too young. We have got to do better. Now, we're gonna get on to our other stories. Our top 17 stories. That's the we just used. I talked about this story just because it just shut out my news feed on my television. So I wanted to talk about it and give this child who is no longer with us a voice and speak up for children, period. And I think that we need to do better with guiding our children and parenting our children because something got to give. Now, we have a first story out of 17 is we have another 11-year-old, this time it's a female, 11-year-old honor student. She was killed while going to get a quart of milk. Going to go get a quart of milk from the store and was killed by a stray bullet. This is the second 11-year-old to be killed less than 24 hours. And I think it's sad that we're killing our young children and people out here don't care. And something needs to be done with the inner cities, downtown area, all around. Something needs to be done with all these killings, especially when it involves children who again can't speak for themselves against the people. I'm going to show you the picture of the 11-year-old female who was killed are going to get a quart of milk. This is a picture, if you can see. I want you to tell me, by looking at this precious face, and you could tell that she was just an innocent bystander. And the fact that people are so careless and will shoot anybody just to shoot. And she was an honor roll student. Let me go back to the article. Her name is I'm on peoples.com. Her name is 11-year-old honor student getting quarter milk is killed and shooting that targeted teenager. So she was she was attended target. They were shooting at somebody else and ended up striking her. An 11-year-old girl was fatally shot Monday night while she was returning home from buying a quart of milk at a local convenience store. Syracuse police said the assailant shot Brexalee, Brexialee, Torres Ortiz, at the midsection, the fifth grader. Let me repeat that again. The fifth grader died at a local hospital. A 19-year-old man who was the alleged target in the drive-by shooting was struck in the leg. He is expected to survive. No arrests have been made in the case. Onondaga County District Attorney William Fitzpatrick said the shooting appeared to be gang-related. This part of the range of Fitzpatrick said, according to the New York Times, she just goes out to get a quart of milk for her family. At a press conference Tuesday, Syracuse Police Chief Joe Cicelli said Brexalee was caught in the crossfire. Syracuse.com reports. The girl was class president of her Beloit middle school class and a hall monitor who encouraged her fellow students, always giving them value. Cicelli said, according to Syracuse.com, and pushing them to succeed, she was also in the higher honors and dance programs. Mayor Ben Wash said there are people in our community that know who pulled that trigger last night, know who put the trigger on the previous incident and the incident after that. He said, And just think if these people were willing or able to step up and share information with us in a way in which they feel safe, we could end this. We would end this crisis. Police said there are no connection between Brixelli and the 19-year-old man. Information is to call X to contact Syracuse Police at 315-442-5222. Here's the news video.
There's nothing even now. My parents should be burying their child. There's nothing gangsta, there's nothing street about this.
A community in anguish, devastated over the loss of Brixelli Torres Ortiz. Brixelli was 11. She was shot and killed the night of January 16th, walking on Oakwood Avenue with a jug of milk.
She's our black baby, but that's our baby. Enough is enough. We gotta stop harboring these killers.
The community on Tuesday reacted with shock and anger and sorrow.
That's senseless. It makes no sense. Wherever you hiding, come on out of hiding. And if you know who he is, I suggest you get off your couch and let somebody know. And it only goes on if you allow it. If you don't say nothing, it'll continue to happen.
No arrests have yet been made. Until then, we see children mourning children.
It's not really the same anymore because she's not there. It's like, is she really gone or is it not for real? Because I don't think that it was time for her to go.
I'm gonna tell you what's sad, number one, and then number two, what angers me, and I think should anger everybody in the community. And I'm talking about adults, okay? When you see children mourning other children on the news, that should make you mad. That should make you want to turn over the suspect. That should make you want to come forward with information, whether you remain anonymous or not, because that could be your child speaking on the news, talking about how devastated of the fact that they just lost their friend or lost someone that they knew. So at the end of the day, if you know something, you should probably want to say something, because if you don't, you just as guilty. Just saying. It's never okay to you know what I'm saying, to see children crying on the news, right? During a tragic time that another child was gunned down. And the child only went to the store to go get a jug of milk. And you tell me you can't even do that? I'm gonna show you the video. I'm gonna back it up, and I'm gonna show you what angers me and what should anger people all around the city. Give me a second. I'm gonna replay it again. I'm gonna show you guys.
Mourning children.
It's not really the same anymore because she's not there. It's like, is she really gone or is it not for real? Because I don't think that it was time for her to go.
That's just devastating. And to see that child crying basically on the news should anger people all around that area of Rochester to come forward with information, number one, and number two, to whoever know who this person is responsible for the senseless violence to come forward and turn this man into the authorities, because that could have been your child, that could have been your cousin, could have been your sister, could have been your aunt, could have been anybody. So at the end of the day, you see something, hashtag my shout out to AFC, if you see something, say something. Stop standing by. Don't never stand by the perpetrator. Just stand by the victim and the community and get justice for this person that they have killed and anguished and the person who can't speak for themselves. The victim here is 11-year-old Buxali Terez Ortiz. That is the victim here, okay? And everybody should be out there with that family right now at this difficult time, but everybody else is out there at that scene. And figure out who did this to bring those responsible to justice. RP to Buxali Torres Ortiz. You do not deserve that. You went and did went to the store to get a quart of milk. You didn't deserve to be gunned down like that. You didn't deserve to be killed the way you was killed, and justice will come. And at the end of the day, this should anger everybody in that community. So put your hands up for that family, and put your hands up for that first video I showed where that 11-year-old boy was killed by a 14-year-old. Put it up for his family too. We gotta do better, people. We gotta love on our children. That's the whole point, and that's why I do these stories, is to bring awareness. Please hug your children. You don't know the time, day, hour, anything. All right. Now, fortunately, our first story we talked about, where we was born in the story, Dallas, Texas. They took care of number one, and then number two, Rochester, Texas. Now, that was our first story that I talked about. Second story, fortunately, in my neck of the woods, Buffalo, New York, Cubs to take an L. I don't like doing it, but okay. Buffalo teens are sentenced to 7 to 8 years in prison after fatal NFTA station assault. Buffalo NFTA assault. 19 hours ago. So let's talk about it. I'm getting my article from WKBW.com. Buffalo teens just happened. Sorry, let me look it up again. On January 31st, 2022, both defendants assaulted a man inside an elevator at the NFTA Metro Rail Amherst station on Main Street in Buffalo. The defendants, who were both 16 years old at the time of the crime, attempted to cause serious physical injuries by shoving, punching, and kicking the victim. They both were sentenced. One was sentenced to 7 years in prison. The other was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Now, the victim unfortunately died, and I believe he died in the hospital. But they was not charged with his murder. Or I'm gonna say about that is that I think they should have been charged with murder. We gotta hold people accountable for their actions. Number one, and number two, that you never put feet, hands, or other objects on somebody. And parents, this is a time to talk to your children, because what you don't want to see is your children being thrown in prison at a young age. And we have so many young teens entering the adult facility for serious crimes at a young age. And at the end of the day, it's prison's a scary place. So if you think that you are able to do prison time, continue doing what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, you think you're only doing 7 to 8 years. You could have been doing a life sentence. Okay, you could have been doing life. So, I'm gonna say about that particular story is that condolences to the victim. Secondly, parents, please talk to your children. Um, you know, uh, assaulting this innocent man at a train station. I just don't understand how we get here and why would you do something like that. And there's no we gotta start disciplining our children. Bottom line, disciplining our children. All right, we on stories 3 out of 17. 3 out of 17. Three people get life in prison without parole after killing a Michigan security guard over a face mask order. You know, it was three adults who did this. The reason I want to talk about it is because number one, this man has a family. This man have children. This man was a father. This man, was someone's brother, someone's relative, and to be that ignorant, get mad because he told you put a mask on for your safety and other people's safety, and then you beat this man to death. Some people don't deserve to see what the outside of prison look like. To be this callous over a mask order, it tells me that people don't have common sense to think twice before doing something stupid. Actions have consequences. Let's start thinking about our actions because they have consequences in real life consequences. And it's sad. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that the judge threw these three monsters in a cell for life. And it's just crazy that how do you kill a security guard? It's just unbelievable, and just sad. Also, again to that family. Um, Rest in peace to the security guard. To those three monsters. Justice, you will get yours. You will get yours. All right. Keep the victim's family in your thoughts and prayers. Let's move on to story 4 out of 17. This one is crazy. I actually started writing some stories on yesterday. And this one, Lord of Jesus, is out of Georgia, out of Cobb County. So Cobb County, Georgia, Texas A&M. And let me tell you what it's about. Let me research it. I'm gonna tell you what it's about. This happened 2 days ago. I'm on Fox 5 Atlanta. Let's talk about it. Student is stabbed. Student is stabbed during a cafeteria fight at a Cobb County middle school, officials say. So another student stabbed another student during cafeteria time during the fight. It's like how are we getting weapons into schools now? A fight at a Cobb County middle school injured two girls and prompted by a district and criminal investigation. It happened Tuesday in the cafeteria at J.J. Daniel Middle School, located along Scott Road. School officials confirmed there was an altercation that led one student to stab another girl with a pocket knife. First responders arrived at the scene shortly after the stabbing. Many students witnessed the violence and quickly texted parents and guardians, as well as posted about it on social media. I looked at them, knowing I knew both of them, and then I ran, said student Lene Taylor. So, some people that was there actually got blood on them. I called her, and she was very distraught. I told her everything was going to be fine. I checked to make sure that they had the classroom doors locked and, just as much information as I could from her, and just reassured her that she was going to be okay, said her father, Halen Taylor. Taylor and other parents raced to the school to pick up their children early. One mom who took her daughter home after the hearing about the altercation said she worries about the safety of her child and the other children at the school. I think Cobb County needs to look really hard at how they're handling the discipline in the schools and how they will continue to provide safety for the rest of the students, the woman said. Okay. The thing I don't get for parents. Now, the parents said that it should be up to the school to dish out discipline. Now I agree. But it should also start at home. Okay. And what I mean by that is that parents need to start monitoring what their children are going on, disciplining the children. You know what I'm saying? You got to stop being your children's friends. Okay. And it's not the school job to monitor your children. Okay. Like, it's not their job to monitor the social medias. Okay. It's the parents' job to monitor what your children are going on at home. And then they're bringing it to school. Again, this is at a middle school. And at the end of the day, I don't understand why we're going on social media bragging about a middle school fight. Because at the end of the day, whoever recorded that fight and threw it on social media, do you realize you just as guilty for posting that fight? And I'm gonna tell you why you just as guilty. Because you are bragging on social media about a fight at your school. And when you brag about something like that, that is very seriously, that could have killed someone or permanently injured someone, then your lack of ability at that point is reckless. It is reckless behavior to go on social media and post violence on Facebook. And at the end of the day, something has to be done with these children who have social media. And I don't think I talked about this quite often on my YouTube channel, but I did talk about this topic in some of my videos in the past, and it's about bullying. Now, it seems to me it's something to me it sounds like maybe there's cyberbullying going on somewhere, because how did it get from social media to a physical fight at school? And I'm telling you, parents, your children are going to end up locked up behind this, behind stupidity. This is stupidity. Stabbing someone during a fight in a cafeteria. How did it get this far? How? And at the end of the day, too, parents are not, you have a lot of parents out here who don't punish their children for bad behavior and let them do what they want to do, and wonder why some of these children are being killed in the streets or end up going to jail at such a young age. Because if the thing is this, somebody, okay, did a horrible job not searching their child before that child went to school with a weapon to use on a fight, which means that a knife was brought into the school. And my thing is, how did that knife get from point A, which was at home, to point B, without being like, what was the parent? That's called neglect. Not knowing that your child had a knife and brought it to school to use in a fight is called neglect, and it could cause you jail time. And I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of discipline going on at school, and maybe some arrests, because this is assault. You stab somebody, that's assault. and it was blood involved, which now it could elevate to aggravated assault. We gotta do better in these schools. We gotta do better at monitoring our children because we're putting our children in the hands of the school. So the school should do a better job at checking these students before they enter the school building. Obviously, now knowing that there's so much stuff that goes on in schools, such as mass shootings, mass stabbings, brawls, fights, so much going on. So at the end of the day, I think it's just time to do thorough searches, metal detectors. It's just time to elevate because something has to change, and it's crazy. But it's gonna be a lot of discipline going on, a lot of suspensions. You got people that's having to face criminal charges. You're probably gonna have parents hit with criminal charges. It's a lot that's gonna go on during the authorities are not involved in this investigation. So, um, you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but you should have been a parent and not your children friend at the end of the day. So let's move on. I hope that student that was stabbed looking for recovery. And wow, student is stabbed. Who stabbed somebody? That's attempted murder. If you're being technical. All right, let's move on. We have an update out of California with that mass shooting where 6 people were killed. And the shooter stood over the California mother as she was holding her baby and killed them, shot her multiple times in the head. However, this person is responsible for that shooting. You just you have a death wish, and you will get caught, and you will be held responsible. And to kill us, you killed 2 children because of your personal dilemma, because of your feelings, because of your ignorance. And now you're gonna have to pay, and whoever was with you also is gonna pay. And I say this: if you live with a person that does criminal activity, whether that's selling the D word, doing the D word, um, doing illegal activities, get yourself out of that situation because you can easily put your family in harm's way by doing criminal activity. So get out of that situation now. Get you some help because what you don't want to do in the future is end up with your family either hurt or killed behind your prejudgment, behind your ignorance. So if you're in that type of lifestyle, I urge you to get you some help because bad things can happen to good people, and it's scary. And these people were innocent, all 6 of them who were killed, and to be gunned down the way they were gunned down, it was this was personal. This was a bandana. This was targeted. It was motivated, and don't put yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. I'm telling you, it is not worth it, and it's dangerous for your children, and it's dangerous for you. The children should be able to see you each and every day. They shouldn't be able to go to a gravesite and see you in the ground each and every day because you made a bad decision. Put your children first. Leave the drugs alone. Leave the alcohol alone. Leave the weapons alone. Put your family first. Forget about your illegal activity. Put that to the back burner. Burn that out. Put your children first. Put children first. All I'm saying. Let's move on. RIP to the 6 victims. Story 6 out of 17. 2. We have another middle school dilemma. Let's talk about it. Local News 8, that's what I'm on. It says, we on story 6 out of 17. Two students are treated for likely fentanyl exposure at an Oregon middle school. So Oregon is going to walk this area, and California is going to walk the air. Got to say that. We out of Williamina, Oregon. Authorities say a student and a deputy. Okay, so it was a student and a deputy were treated at a hospital after they likely were exposed to fentanyl at a Western Oregon middle school. The Yamhill County Sheriff's Office said one of the deputies went into Wilmington Middle School, two states southwest of Portland, and was asked to help check a bathroom for a suspicious odor. The deputy went into the modular classroom bathroom, noted an acrid smell, and evacuated the classroom. The sheriff's office said the deputy and one student who felt unwell were treated at a Saline Hospital. Authorities said another student may have been pouring pills containing fentanyl on a piece of foil. Okay. How the hell did this student get fentanyl into a middle school? It's like parents. This is the second story about a middle school. One out of Georgia where a student was stabbed. Another in Oregon where a student brought pills to school. Like, we gotta do better with monitoring our children. There's no excuse now. It's just no excuse for neglecting children. This is neglectful. Somebody now, even if the parents wasn't aware, and where did this drug? Oh, let's know where the drug came from. Okay, because it seems like the drug might have been came from the home of that student and brought into school on a limited floor. We're talking about middle school here. So the child must have been between the ages of 14 and what, 15? We're talking about minors here, okay? And this is the thing. I talked about a story a while ago where a 6-year-old brought a gun to school and shot his teacher. Speaking of a 6-year-old bringing a gun to school and shot his teacher, I have another story where a 6-year-old was waving a gun outside of an apartment complex in Indiana. We're going to talk about that story coming up pretty soon. And the thing is this: parents, it's your job as parents to be more responsible of your children's surroundings. It's never a good idea to monitor your children. It's never a good idea to not know what your children are doing. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, we get some drink and then I'm gonna finish. So, as I was saying about that fentanyl exposure I had in Oregon Middle School, it's the parents' job to be monitoring their children, and um, and this is my opinion. Parents need to be charged because there's no damn way that child should have fentanyl in their possession. Just my opinion. If I was a DA, they've been facing some criminal charges, and whoever. And the thing is this: you got to remember this too. That child's gonna have to be interviewed because they're gonna have to interview that child to figure out how he got a hold and access to that fentanyl drug. So I'm just saying, whoever responsible for that needs to be for some charges. That's all I'm saying. That child should never have access to that. That's a deadly drug, a deadly opioid. Shout out to Dr. Phil. He talked about on his show before. Fentanyl is a deadly opioid. It's deadly, which means it can cause a fatal injury if taken at a high amount in a lower dosage. Gotta be more careful. Just gotta be more careful and vigilant. Thus, okay, so we're going to story 7 out of 17. Baltimore, Maryland takes an L. Let me pull a story up and we're going to talk about it. So, Baltimore officer faces no charges after killing a teen driver. He faces no charges after killing a teen driver. In one of the first high-profile decisions after taking office earlier this month, Baltimore's new top prosecutor declined to bring criminal charges against a local police officer who fatally shot a fleeing teenage driver last year. The decision came despite investigative review that found the driver no longer posed a threat when the Baltimore police officer Connor Murray fired the fatal shot. Murray and other officers were pursuing Donald Rochester, 18, for outstanding bench warrants resulting from his failure to appear on a pending carjacking charge. Baltimore State Attorney Evan Bates released his decision last week. The former defense attorney was elected last year after defeating then incumbent Marilyn Mosby in a Democracy primary. Mosby gained national recognition after bringing criminal charges against the officer involved in Freddie Gray's 2015 death. Okay, this is the thing. Yes, I understand maybe the 18-year-old was speeding, wasn't stopping. But it gives no officer a right to be that reckless, shooting as he's driving to stop a fleeing vehicle. He could have shot, and that bullet could have flown and hit anybody, killing anybody. At least that officer could have faced was negligent charges, negligent felony, negligent charges. It's negligence to be shooting at a moving vehicle. It is. And I'm not surprised that the officer wasn't charged. I'm not surprised. I mean, this is we in 2023. Let's say that 18-year-old. If that 18-year-old was shooting at police officers to the point where he killed a police officer and fleeing, that 18-year-old would have been facing charges. But you tell me that officer is trying to face charges for reckless behavior? Something don't add up. And the DA declined to file charges. I would at least for reckless endangerment. It was reckless to be shooting like that. Bottom line, it was reckless. Secondly, I would have did was at least hit that officer with some type of manslaughter charges, because it's a better way you could have did it without using deadly force. Just saying. I understand he was wanted for a bench warrant. He was fleeing. You could have, there's many ways you could have did. You could have ended the pursuit. and got his tracking location and then took him into custody. There's different ways you could have did it. So it's no excuse for stupidity. But again, I'm not surprised because you never really see officers be charged with murder charges or reckless endangerment charges or different type of offenses. But if the general public commit a crime against a police officer, you better believe it, they're going to jail. I think it's crazy that we don't hold police officers to a higher standard, but we always want to hold the general public to a higher standard, which is not right. But condolences to the 18-year-old's family. It was senseless. I think could have been avoided. But so where we living, just we gotta do better. So I'm gonna say, got to do better. Now, if that's not crazy enough, let's talk about the 12-year-old who was killed after a police maneuver. We're gonna talk about that story. The story is out of Georgia. Again, Georgia's XNL. It says 12-year-old Le'Dion, I think that's his name, LE''D. Let's see. Le'Dean Boykins, LE, capital L, they have E, apostrophe DEN, Boykins, BOYKINS, is demanding, the family of Le'Dean Boykins is demanding justice after the 12-year-old was killed in a pet maneuver wreck orchestrated by Georgia State Police. The incident happened in 2021. However, the footage was made public last week. In the dashcam video, Charlie Moore is put over by 4 law enforcement officials, according to Atlanta news station 11 Alive. The driver was a neighbor of Boykins and was watching the 12-year-old and another minor, identified as Moore's son, on the night in question. Police allegedly put Moore over for driving under the influence of alcohol. Authorities asked Moore to get out of the car. The driver asked to speak to a supervisor, but one of the officials denied his request. Moments later, a trooper smashed his window and the driver to fled, claiming to be in a panic. This is a child, by the way, if you can see it. Boykins family members believe the officers were aware the kids were in the car before the pursuit, despite several police being right next to the vehicle and having a conversation with the driver. A chase began and a pit maneuver was carried out with the young boys in the back seat. According to 11 Alive, during the chase, Moore dialed 911 to say children were in the car and the actor was afraid of his life. Moore's vehicle eventually flipped over, killing the 12-year-old, while the driver was charged with murder for the child's death. Boykins' relatives want the officers who initiated the fatal driving technique to face consequences as well. Last week, a press conference to discuss Boykins' case was held at the Georgia Capitol building in Atlanta, Georgia. NAACP President Joe Griggs questioned why the Paulding County District Attorney was not reprimanded to troopers or deputies involved. At the gathering, the child's father said, "When you see this dash cam footage, rest assured you will all know that they knew there were no children in the vehicle. That there were children in the vehicle." The news station reported that audio from the officers' videos back up those claims. Okay, number one, I'm not saying that the driver conduct was appropriate. It wasn't. He was panicking. He was scared. He put it off. The officers had a duty, right? A duty to not continue to pursue that vehicle. I do believe they knew it was children outside that vehicle. And the reckless thing those officers did was to pursue and hit that vehicle and that maneuver with children on the side. Those officers could be charged with homicide because it was negligence. So it was negligent homicide. They could be charged with that. And the thing is, I don't think they're going to be charged. I don't. Unless you get a higher power attorney to demand charges. And the thing is this. It's a bad idea to do pit maneuvers with children inside of a vehicle. It's a bad idea because children are the number one, could be the number one person or multiple people killed in a crash. It's easy and it's quick to kill a child in a pit maneuver than an adult. I'm gonna tell you why. If you hit a vehicle with children on the side and you do a pit maneuver with children on the side, the first people to be killed in that crash is children, and I'm gonna tell you why. Even if they stepped up, that vehicle is flipping, and the child could get and fly out the restraint, but right out the dash window or the back window and be killed instantly. And it took an adult maybe, let's say, 60 seconds to also be killed in that crash. I don't understand why officers do pit maneuvers. I think it's dangerous. And it's dangerous for the public, the general public. It's a bad idea because it's just dangerous. It's negligence, and especially when you're doing it on a busy road. I think like the spec strips are enough. I don't think pit maneuvers should be something that should be still going on. I think it should be something that's not, you know what I'm saying, something that's not should be done no more. I think it should be out of the just canceled for all departments. I just think spike strips are enough. Pit maneuvers are just it's dangerous and it could cause deadly reaction. So could also set that family. And to the family, I think she's got a high power attorney like Ben Crump or someone who could fight this and possibly have these officers pay for what they did. It was negligence, and I think they knew it was children on the side, and they still went for it. So, when you're negligent, you have to pay. All right, let's move on. 9 out of 17. This story is crazy. This came my timeline, not my timeline, my news feed. I believe it was yesterday, day before yesterday. And this story is out of Nebraska. Nebraska, Texas. So Nebraska, Texas, fortunately. 13-year-old girl leads Nebraska troopers on a 100 miles per hour chase with, wait for it, an 11-year-old boy in the passenger seat, officials say. 13-year-old girl Nebraska. A 13-year-old girl led Nebraska troopers on a high-speed chase for nearly 20 minutes before authorities were able to stop the vehicle and take her and an 11-year-old passenger into custody, the Nebraska State Patrol said. Troopers spotted the Nissan Pathfinder on Monday night traveling about 35 miles per hour on Interstate 80 near Kearney and attempted a traffic stop. As release said, a spokesperson said the vehicle was traveling under the posted minimum speed limit, which prompted a stop. The teen driver accelerated and fled troopers at a high rate of speed, according to the release, reaching speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. Authorities used stop sticks to slow the vehicle. The The teen is alleged to have exited the interstate but continued at a slower speed. A short time later, the troopers were able to successfully perform a tactical vehicle intervention to bring the vehicle to a stop, the Nebraska State Patrol said. The entire chase lasted about 16 minutes. The teen driver and the 11-year-old boy from Colorado, they were from Colorado, were taken into custody with a further incident placed in protective custody. The agency said troopers searched the vehicle and found a firearm, a small amount of marijuana, and drug paraphernalia, the news release said. The driver was cited for flight to avoid arrest, willful reckless driving, carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a drug paraphernalia, and numerous traffic violations, the spokesperson said. The passenger was cited for carrying a concealed weapon and possession of drug paraphernalia. Okay. Which means they're going to have to go to court and face these charges. Like, these two children are from Colorado. Got in a vehicle and drove all the way to Nebraska just to be put over. Cited. This is the thing, parents. This is what you call negligence. Why is a 13-year-old even driving without a license or a permit with an 11-year-old child inside the vehicle? This is just crazy. And driving 100 miles per hour. Both of them could have been killed. Or one of them could have been killed. And one of them could have been sent in jail for murder. It's stupid. Like, parents, it is time to wake up, smell the coffee, because whoever children are these have some answers to question to why they are driving a vehicle across state lines with weapons, drugs. It's just like, why? Who are y'all raising? Animals? Like, there's no, obviously, there's no, like, guidance in the household, number one. Number two, I've actually should have never been punished or put on punishment. Number three, there's no type of, like, how do you just let your children do what they want to do and out here committing crimes? Like, it's crazy. And why is there first of all, my question would be, why is there a 13, 11-year-old anyways alone in a vehicle driving by themselves? Somebody was neglectful for allowing these children just escape and drive just recklessly on an interstate in a whole nother county, in a whole nother state, in a whole nother city, in a whole nother atmosphere. It's like there's different laws in different places. Just think about this for a second. These two children were cited. Remember, they had drugs and a gun. They could have been sentenced. They could have been taken to juvenile detention and booked. And y'all wouldn't even knew it. They were sitting behind bars for this. Think about that for a second. Both of these parents, who 13-year-old child and 11-year-old child, just needs to be facing some criminal charges. Because y'all need to know your children are at all times. And again, this is why a lot of parents don't need children, because you're not suitable to be parents. If you're 13-year-old, 11-year-olds out here speeding in vehicles, drugs and guns in a vehicle, you're not suitable to be a parent. I'm sorry. There's no way they should have been in a moving vehicle. Just my opinion. Driving. It's crazy. All right. Let's pray for these two children that they get the help that they need, and these parents face reality and some type of consequence for these children's actions. Okay? All right. So 10 out of 17. Remains found near Kansas barn is confirmed as missing Nebraska mother. Nebraska again, Texas and L. I chose that story because That's a mother. She had children, and whoever did this was just ignorant. That mother's again, that's someone's mother, and to do something like that is heinous, brutal, and you just got to think twice before. Just think twice. Your actions have consequences. You can't be out here committing crime and think you're gonna get caught and do the time. You're gonna do the time for your actions. So just think twice before committing murders, burglaries, robberies, drug offenses, gun offenses. Think twice because your actions have consequences. All right, let's move on. Story 11 out of 17. Missing Oklahoma girl, 4-year-old Athena Brownfield. Found, I believe she was found dead. Let's look it up. We're going to talk about it. TG. Wow. 4-year-old Athena Brownfield beaten to death on Christmas. Caregiver beat 4-year-old Oklahoma girl to death on Christmas, court documents say. Alyssa Adams told 30s her husband Adams Ivan Adams beat Athena Brownfield and buried her body near Rush Springs, where human remains belonging to a child were found Tuesday. A man is charged with murder and the disappearance of 4-year-old Athena Brownfield in Oklahoma beat the child to death on Christmas, buried her body, and placed a branch over her grave, according to court documents. Athena was discovered to be missing when a postal cure found her 5-year-old sister outside a home in Cyril with no adult supervision on January 10th and contacted police. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said. A widespread search of the girl soon turned into a recovery operation on Tuesday. The State Bureau said recovered the remains of a child in rural Grady County outside of Rush Springs, about 60 miles south of Oklahoma City. The remains were transferred to the medical examiner's office in Oklahoma City for positive identification. 2 days after authorities learned Athena was missing, her caregivers, Ivan and Alyssa Adams, were arrested. Ivan Adams, 36, was charged with first-degree murder and child neglect, and Alyssa Adams with 2 counts of child neglect. Arrest affidavits for the pair revealed that Alyssa Adams, 31, on Twitter, stated a Bureau Special Agent Thursday that Ivan Adams beat Athena on Christmas night and held her up by her arms. The child was not moving and her eyes were barely open, she said, according to one of the affidavits. He then laid her on the ground and punched her at least 3 more times in the chest, and Athena never moved after that. Alyssa Adams said, according to the documents. The beating allegedly occurred at the residence on West Nebraska Street. Ivan Adams then left the home about 1 a.m. December 26 with a child. When he arrived back, he told us that he buried her near a fence line that was next to the old residence in Rush Springs. From her, he put a large broken branch over the rural site, the family said. Phone records also showed that between 4:15 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. the same day, Ivan's phone left the West Nebraska address in Trevorton area near Rush Springs, the affidavit said. That close to where the human remains were found, Athena and her sister are related to Alyssa Adams. They have been in her care for the past 1.5 to 2 years, according to charging documents. However, Alyssa Adams and her husband never took the girls to doctors for checkups and did not enroll the older child into school, documents state. All right, this is the child right here that was killed by this man. Now, tell me, why do you think by looking at this picture here, okay, what was the point of killing this child and dismembering her body in a wooded area. And what gave you right to, first of all, put your hands, feet, any other objects on anybody, let alone a child who couldn't speak for herself against the ignorance that was brought upon her, that was brought on her. Now, at the end of the day, this mother had every opportunity, okay, every ample opportunity to get rid of this man, but instead let this man, like this man should have never been around those children, and this mother failed to protect her children. I don't care what nobody said. This man sounds just he sounds off. And at the end of the day, like, come on now. But for these parents, needs life in prison. And this monster of a man, like, I would just seek the death penalty in this case against him because he's a monster for what he did. The fact that he killed this child, buried her in a shallow grave, threw branches on her, and then went back to the residence and basically bragged about the crime. Like, who does that? Like, you have to be sociopath, sick, demonized. Something is logically wrong with you if you thought that was the best thing to do. Like, and the mother, 2 counts of neglect. She tries to be charged with 2 counts of stupidity. She's stupid for allowing a man to be around her children, knowing that this man don't even have it all. This man is just crazy, I say. And parents, and to females out here who are in relationship with either with their children, biological father, or with their boyfriends, right? You need to evaluate yourself and evaluate that person because you don't know at the end of the day what that person carries. You may think he's good at one moment, but the next, crazy as hell. You don't know. So please just monitor who you're in a relationship with because you don't know their true colors until it's too late. And this mother failed to protect her children. She failed to take her and her children away from the situation, and it caused her child to be dead and another child to be placed in the system. And for what? And it caused her to be locked up, and it caused this monster to be locked up. Well, he should have been locked up. Been locked up. I don't want to put if he had a criminal history. Speaking of a child being killed, you have a father. I was watching FC yesterday. He was talking about a story where a father killed his 11-month-old daughter, dismembered her, and left her basically on a porch. And he was just recently taken into custody, charged with first-degree murder, and held on $6 million bail. And his bond was revoked, and he will remain in jail until his trial. And I just how can you just kill your child like that? It's crazy. But you have a lot of parents that don't need to be parents being parents. It's just a neglectful thing. The ignorant thing is to allow a man to be around your children, knowing that he doesn't have it all, and it causes your child to be killed because of the neglect. And you didn't supervise your children, obviously, because if you supervise your children, your child would have been dead. Your other child won't be in the system. So at the end of the day, this mother failed at being a parent, and I just don't understand how people just allow anybody in their homes and into their life. Um, Sad.
Nice to meet you. Now, what do you do? I am a lead coordinator for a corporation.
All right, so let's talk about. All right, so let's talk about story 12 out of 17. Missing Michigan girl, 4 years old, is rescued in Ohio during traffic stop. I'm gonna give Michigan an L, and I'm gonna give Ohio a thumbs up for seeing something, saying something, and doing something to protect this child after the traffic stop. It's the Ohio gonna take half of an L and half of a thumbs up for the dedication. A 4-year-old Michigan girl who was taken by her father on Tuesday was rescued by a Ohio police officer after they pulled the man over in a car in Ohio. Ohio troopers rescued a missing Michigan girl police said was endangered and took by her non-custodial father into custody Tuesday night. So the biological father did not have custody of this child, took this child without consent, and took her to Ohio. I'm going to say this. So the 4-year-old who was abducted by her father, her name is Leilania, Liana, Leilania Nadini. That's the thing. Parents, if you're in a relationship, and it could be men, female, female, man, and you're having a custodial problem where you're seeing your children once a week, once a year, once so and so. You need to be you gotta be more open minded, especially when it involves children, because children have feelings too. And at the end of the day, that father could have, if you wanted to see your child, you could have went down to the courts and asked for some visitation rights. You didn't do that. You went to the car way out, went and kidnapped your own child and took it back to a whole other state. And it tells me that some people don't understand that it's a crime to actually kidnap your child. You don't have that right by the courts. You can't just do what you want to do just because you're the biological father. If you're on, if you're seeing your child at a different period of time, you have to respect that order. You can't just violate that order and do what you want to do. So, now you sitting in jail because you want to be super safe and you didn't do it the right way. You should have went through the courts. You just did everything illegally, and there's consequences for that. You got to stop putting your children in the middle of your conflict. Speaking of putting children in the middle of conflict, I did a story on Monday where I was talking about CJ So Cool and his um being shot. He have two children. Well, the update to that, I have an update. He was back in the hospital because he had an infection to his leg. But secondly, Royalty and Cedar Circle, other baby mother, got into it. I guess it was a fight. And I guess Royalty involved her child into the fight. And I'm going to say this, it's never a good idea to involve your children to grown folks' beef. You're not setting a good example for that for your child when you involve your child into grown folks altercation. It's a bad thing to do, and it was it's sad that you're involving your teenage daughter to fight for you. It's like, who does that? And why would you do something like that? But again, you have a lot of parents who are very irresponsible, and when they're out here fighting against other people, the worst thing you can ever do is involve your children. Your children are innocent. And whatever you got going on with the other person, you should never involve your children. It should never went that far for you to involve a child. And that's how I look at it. But again, you have a lot of dogs out here who are still don't have that mindset and act like children. If you're gonna act like a child, then don't involve your children into your mayhem. Now let's move on. And I just want to give that quick update. But let's look up. We're gonna start with 13 out of 17. This happened back on January 11th, 2023. Wisconsin takes in the air. Wisconsin. A Wisconsin teenage female, 14, was shot 3 times in her head. Shot 3 times in her head by her 14-year-old boyfriend. Let's talk about it. Oh, Lord Jesus. And this is out of Racine, Wisconsin. A mother is calling her daughter a walking miracle after she was shot in the head 3 times by her boyfriend in southeastern Wisconsin. The 14-year-old girl was trying to break up with her boyfriend in Racine when he pulled the trigger in a fit of rage. The young girl survived and is recovering. Her mother, Miranda Perel, said the couple was together for more than a year and she never noticed anything concerning. I bought the kid a Christmas present. You don't know that type of stuff until the mask is unveiled. Perla said, I did not think that was possible because they're kids. I didn't think Eva was some kids. The boyfriend is charged as an adult and is scheduled to be in court this week. Now, this is the thing. Yes, if you don't realize that children have true colors, raise a child and see how it is. Okay. Number one, people hide their emotions, okay, and their true colors in the back of their heads. They don't show it until it's too late. You might have thought that was a sweet kid at once. He had plans in his head. He was already planning for that day. And when that day came, when she said it's over, he got enraged and shot her in her head 3 times. Again, where do these children get guns from? I just don't understand how he got a gun, and I could assume that he got it illegally off the streets from somebody. Because I just don't. I don't know. I mean, that's just stupid to shoot someone 3 times in the head because they don't be in a relationship with you. I, I hope he's charged with attempted murder because that it was stupid. It really was. It was stupid, and that you're gonna go to prison for a good long time for being stupid. Just for being stupid. It's stupid. Did you think you solved a problem by shooting a child in the head? You ain't solving no problem. You made your life a living hell. Because now you're going to see that child in court doing trials, doing witness statements. You're going to see that mother, that father. You're going to have to relive that day over and over again. That hunts you for the rest of your life. That don't go away. You did something that's going to hunt you for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. And that victim. And her family. So, at the end of the day, you just made yourself look like a fool. And I hope you get serious time for this. I'll say give you the next 25 to life. I think that you need to do hard time for this. Pay back society. And pay back the debt that you brought into society. You brought anguish and pain, frustration. You brought your emotions to society because you're angry about a situation that you could have walked away from. When you break up with somebody, it's not the end of the world. There's plenty of fishes in the sea. You gotta find you another woman. It's not that serious. You pull out a gun and shoot someone 3 times in the head. Crazy. Well wishes to the victim, to the suspect. You don't get yours. You don't get time for this. Believe that. Believe that. All right. Story 14 is Michigan family. Michigan family dies and failed after walking for days. There's a chance to do that story. I want to just give my condolences to that family. And secondly, I just wanted to pay my respect to that family, so I chose to talk about that story. And then story 15 is a Michigan mother and her 2 boys are found frozen to death in a park. And then what I want to say about that story is that uh, words and anguish and pain, you know, condolences to y'all, and I know this is hard, losing 3 loved ones, and it's sad, but I hope that y'all could recover from this and move on, and it's just sad. And when there's an update to the story, I'm gonna bring you the update. Story 16 is 21-year-old Texas man, so Texas XNL, decapitates his newlywed wife. And the thing is this, I urge people, women and men, to do a background check and a thorough background check to to who you are in a relationship with. Because you just don't know people's true colors until it's too late. Please, I urge you to do a background check. I urge you to you know what I'm saying, I urge you to do research on who you are associating with, who are you putting your life in the line for and with. You have a lot of evil people walking the streets. You just don't know until you see their true colors. Please do your job, and before you get married to somebody, please know who they really are behind closed doors, and just don't get married to any and everybody. I'm sorry. Until they get the help that they need, you get the help that you need, and then y'all come together and be civilized. And this man is about stupid as can be. If he thought that what he did was okay, you killed your wife. Imagine she had kids. She have a family. She have a parents, and now she's dead behind your anger. Like it's crazy to me. And 21 years old. This is the reason why a 21-year-old shouldn't be getting married. They aren't. They not mature enough. I'm sorry. They're not mature enough to be getting married. Just my opinion. Condolences to the family, and I hope you get justice. And it's crazy, but we gotta do better, people. We gotta do better. Our last story 17 out of 17. I'm gonna pull the story up on my phone. This story is crazy. It angers me. There's actually been an update to the story. I'm going to tell you why it angers me. I think I did talk about this particular story. I might have talked about my crime time channel or my reaction channel. No, I don't. I thought I talked about it. But a woman, 25 years old, was sentenced to 126 years for killing an 8-year-old girl. And this happened in Marion, Arkansas. And when she was arrested, she was smiling on the back of the police vehicle. And then she was convicted of first degree murder along with other charges and sentenced to 126 years in prison. I just don't understand how you can smile after you got done from killing a child. I just don't know how that's funny. I just don't understand why people think everything is a game. Like, you ruined someone's life for life. You killed a child. And the last thing you should be doing is making a mockery. You should really feel bad. But because you don't have a heart in your soul, you thought it was funny. And I'm glad they threw 126 years at you. Laugh about that. Common sense, people. Common sense. Like, some people don't deserve to walk on this earth. Some people deserve to just be behind bars. You're gonna act like an animal. You could be treated like an animal. Now let's talk about it. The update is either yesterday or the day before. She was just sentenced to 126 years of prison. This happened back in 2021. Let's talk about it. This is the child we're talking about. Hold on. Can everybody see the picture? Or is it too bright here? This precious Angel. Her name is, let's find it. Her name is Her name is Jemiah Hall. JA''MYIAH Hall, kind of spelled. 25-year-old. Okay, 25-year-old. Shantaria Montgomery was found guilty of first-degree murder, terroristic threats, and tampering with evidence. On April 10th, 2022, Montgomery got into a fight with someone near where kids were playing and fired a shot that unintentionally hit Jemiah Hall in the head. She had been playing with her friends in the Sherrill Cove area of Marion, Arkansas. Her father, Rodney Hall, says he can now sleep peacefully knowing his daughter's murderer will spend the rest of her life in prison. My excitement was through the roof. I'm getting justice. I don't have to have sleepless nights. I wonder if I'm going to get justice for my baby, he said. Rodney said that during the trial, Montgomery showed no remorse. She didn't have any emotions, so I was wondering how could this young lady with kids do such a thing and don't have any feelings. Rodney said she has lived his life in honor of his daughter, and he hopes to help others who have lost their loved ones to gun violence. Hearts up, guns down. Stop the senseless violence. Okay, number one, the suspect is 25. Number two, she has children. So you thought it was okay to get into an argument. Go back in the damn house, grab a goddamn gun, come back outside, shoot off the gun, and shoot her child with a stray bullet in the head, killing her. I mean, logically, you knew it was children outside playing, so that was reckless for you to even go get a gun. Number two, the reckless thing to do is shoot that gun knowing that there's consequences when that bullet, okay, hit someone. When a bullet hits someone, it causes damage, okay? It causes internal damage. And time again, we are seeing adults use deadly force during arguments. And when that deadly force happens, you can be held accountable. And to have no emotions in the courtroom after you just gunned down an 8-year-old child, knowing that you have children, ma'am, it tells me that you are just evil. Evil. I wish I was a judge. You'd have been getting the death penalty. Because at the end of the day, that 126 years, to me, it serves no purpose. To me, it feels like it's just a game to you. I'm going to show you what the death penalty does. Since you think everything is a game. You know, just evil. No heart, no emotions, no nothing. And I'm gonna say I'm very proud of that father for not only getting justice for his child, but also for advocating for gun violence. And it is up to people like us, it is up to the community leaders, community activists, the police departments to come and rally around gun violence because it's killing our children. We have people killing children, and we need to put a stop to the violence. Today's stories were crazy. Like it was crazy. And 17 stories in a year of 2023. 17. And we just in the first month of January already there have been crimes back to back to back. It's crazy. People, we gotta do something within the community. Outreach to these youth. We need to do outreach to these adults. We need to do something because we're seeing people lose their life for no good reason. This child should still be here today. But you have a careless woman who chose to be a coward and a bitch for what she did. And that child was an innocent bystander. And that child can defend herself against the ignorant person who killed her. And anybody out there, any woman, any man who owns a gun and thinks that you could pull the gun out when you feel like it and you shoot around in the air, just know when that bullet hits someone and someone dies, you're gonna pay for it with your life. You're gonna pay for it. Somebody died in the commission of your felony, you're gonna pay for it. So think twice before firing off a gun. If you think you can get an argument with somebody and use a gun, think twice. Because guns have real life bullets in it. And it's not the bullets' fault. It is the thugs who are using the gun. It's called thug violence. THUG violence. Thug with guns. You know, what happens when people, what I'm saying, when they get into arguments, have a casual conversation, not using deadly weapons to try to get back at someone. Because we're killing ourselves. We're killing children. We're killing adults. We're killing each other for no good reason. There's no reason for this child to be dead right now. But you had one woman who was in her feelings. One woman who couldn't take the criticism. The one woman who let her emotions get the best of her. Went and got a gun. Could have killed every children out there that day. Because again, bullets don't have no names on it. Could have killed a number of people that day. It could have been a casualty out there. This woman was reckless what she did. And at 126 years, she needs to serve every bit of it. Every bit of it. In prison. And this is what I would do if I was the biological father. I would get that picture of my child, bring it up to that prison, and show her that picture every single visitation, and let her realize what she have did to my family. I won't forgive her. No, because she didn't do. I apologize to my family. She was remorseful to my family. It would take time. Show her that picture every single time until she get it through her thick head that you gunned down my child for no good reason. And let her look at that picture and continue to look at that picture in her mind for 126 years. I will show her that picture every single time. Every single time. You need to look at that picture and realize what you took from this earth. You took an innocent child out this world. And you just better be lucky that this father, you know what I'm saying, just people out here who have lost children, who sent people after the killers and killed the suspects. She's just lucky she didn't get seriously hurt during court proceedings, because she could have got seriously hurt. What I'm saying is that you have people out here who track down child killers and kill them. So she's just lucky she wasn't tracked down. Um, ridiculous. Senseless violence. My condolences go out to his father, to the mother, to the family of his child who was killed. My condolences also go to the child who was senseless, gunned down. My condolences go out to her friends, her family, school, the community, the activists, the police, everybody who was involved in this situation, the judge, the courts. This was a long process, and the to the suspect, I hope that you realize that you're gonna have to face the family, and you're gonna have to realize that you're gonna have to own what you did. You're gonna have to come with the fact that you gunned down this child because of your anger and your emotions. So, um, this woman needs hell time, and she needs to be in hell for what she did. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Do me a favor. Do me a solid. Go over to my Crime Time channel. Go over to my reaction channel, Charles Reactions. Subscribe over there. Come back here. Subscribe. I only have 8 subscribers on this channel. Hit the subscribe button, please. That will help my videos out. Share my videos. We need to change this world. It's become evil, wicked, and our children are paying the ultimate price. We could change this world by coming together, rally behind the ignorance in the communities. Please. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. For those, tomorrow's Friday. I'll see you guys on my other channel tomorrow and Saturday. Have a good weekend.